One of the big tidbits that came across my desk yesterday was news from West Virginia. The possibility, now he is denying all these reports, but Joe Manchin, Kelly, is apparently considering leaving the Democratic Party if he doesn't get his way on this infrastructure bill, which they are apparently going to vote on before Halloween, which is now right around the corner. What do you make of this? Any truth to it?
He denies it, but there's always a little truth with these rumors here in Washington. Somebody had to start it. Somebody had to talk about it, whether it was Joe Manchin himself or some of his friends and allies. We don't know, but the Republican Party would more than welcome Joe Manchin. I'd love to see, a Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell once again take the reins of that chamber. And Joe Manchin would flip it to the Republicans. I believe that he's using this as leverage in these negotiations. There's a bunch of Green New Deal, climate change provisions in this Build Back Better plan that would just decimate West Virginia. And after all, he does represent the state of West Virginia. It's a coal-heavy state. It's a ruby red state, and he's got to protect, his constituents, the people who voted him into office.
Yeah, imagine if that happens. When I first saw the headline, I thought it was going to be Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona, just because why support a president who has got a 37% approval rating, but also a guy who 2 weeks ago, when she was assaulted in that bathroom, accosted at ASU in the ladies' room, and a man who went in there. Joe Biden said that's part of politics. He didn't stick up for somebody, let alone just a politician, but somebody of his own party as well. I don't know.
Hey, Rob, can I jump in here and
Sure.
push back just a little bit on something Kelly said? I'm having a hard time buying this idea that Manchin is some moderate concerned about his district. Manchin votes with Joe Biden over 95% of the time. I think Manchin is more concerned about protecting the swamp, enabling the swamp, than he is his own districts. I've been to West Virginia. I was just there a month and a half ago. It's a wonderful state with wonderful people.
Right.
But there's no doubt that there is a disconnect between Joe Manchin, who absolutely has Potomac fever and has forgotten where he's come from and is more interested in voting with Joe Biden than his actual district. And I think you're going to see him continuing to pretend like somehow he's going to be a conservative. In the end, he's not. He's going to vote for trillions of dollars of more deficit spending. And I think there is a chance he could become a Republican once we take back the majority, but it will not happen before that.
You make a good point about Potomac fever. We know he doesn't have an apartment in D.C. He spends when he's in the district, he sleeps on his houseboat down by the Watergate Hotel. We know that because kayakers were out there harassing him over this infrastructure bill. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.